So that's how the survey ran. And then we transitioned to another different question. This question was about these four groups up here: Sunrise House, the Academy, Glory Day Village, which is the continuous care retirement community concept, which also would have a life center associated with it. So it's that whole Glory Day Village concept that Pastor Stowe had been pioneering, and that we still is right now just kind of in a hold pattern because the economy is not supporting us to move forward on that. But in any event, Glory Day Village and then middle school. So what do you think came down at the bottom? And the criteria is, what do you find most exciting? We did not define the word exciting. Okay, that was for you to, when you read the question, to go, yippee! I find this one exciting. So what do you think was the bottom of it? The village! The village was down at the bottom. Okay, and then third?
Happy.
Woo! So, what do you think was number one? Yeah. Okay, so this is what those 159 responses led us to, and that is that at the top of their list in terms of exciting, it's again school, Sunrise House, Academy, and Village. Now, so the question is, and these were some of the comments that I received, is we still have an academy? Well, yes, we do conceptually, and the academy could be revitalized if we wanted it to, if we had the funding to do it. But the issue was funding, quite frankly. I mean, we had a great program, absolutely fantastic program that ran out of money. We were paying for that, just in case you don't know, out of loans. So that debt that you saw on the other slide of $4.2 million helped pay the academy and get 2 pastors ordained and called and do the work that we did under the academy. And a third one who is now a candidate. Wayne's here. Well, I don't know where.
Unless we be misunderstood, that's not the entire 4.2.
No. Yeah, thank you. No. That's only a portion of it. And the academy is broader than the CPE program. At least that was the concept that we had. So we really had not lived or stepped into the full academy. But again, it goes back to staffing and resources. You have to have leadership, and really, for an academy in particular, especially one that's based in education of pastors and those kind of folks, it has to be led by a pastor. You can't generally have a layperson leading that. So, again, that's just to let you know, that's where the academy was at, that's where we're at right now. It can be revitalized, needs staffing in order to do that. We have a great program. We're still certified in both of the CPE certified communities, so if we were to get somebody and be able to pay for that, we could revitalize that program, the CPE portion of the academy. Okay, so next. Again, same for what's the most value and benefit. These questions are meant to, they're called sensitivity. So we ask the question in a slightly different way and see what kind of answer we get. And so we ask the question, I think, in 4 different ways. And what you'll find is you almost get the same answer, depending on, just again, we wanted to make sure that we were getting the answer from the congregation. So most value and benefit, it mirrored that. That should have changed. I'm not quite sure. I think this is most in terms of evangelism. I think that should have been the question. Again, middle school at the top, Sunrise House and Academy, and the dead heat really could not separate them, and village down at the bottom. Here's evangelism. I think that was an extra slide that I had in there, but basically kind of the same. It's interesting, though, that these flip-flop. But it would make sense, I think, for that particular type of question, evangelism and growth. Obviously, the academy, that was one of the focuses of the academy, is to train pastors so that they can go out and spread the good news. Okay, so I'm hoping that that was the last one on there. Thank you. Yeah, really? Well, let's talk about this question. Okay, so we obviously, back in August of 2009, the ELCA Church as a whole, through their worldwide assembly, voted on a number of measures, human sexuality. There was a new human sexuality statement that was being voted on, and then there were certain propositions associated with that. This was all in the survey. Hopefully you were able to read that. We had other resources that you could go to and inform and establish your views, and we hope you did that. But the responses that we got, really, I could have predicted them, not percentage-wise, but in terms of indications and warnings. This is how the congregation replied to these 4 questions. Now, these weren't the questions that were asked at the assembly, but these 2 were in terms of a motion. Should we recognize gay couples? And there was a lot of verbiage on what that means to recognize them. And then, should we call a gay pastor? This is shorthand because it says call an ordained pastor who is in a monogamous, open, monogamous, gay relationship. So, committed, yeah. So this is not just a casual, oh, I'm glad I didn't say that. This is not just a casual relationship. This would be someone who is in a committed relationship. But that's the replies. I'll let you take a look at it. We asked 2 questions to kind of gauge the sensitivity of the congregation. Have we been active in the ELCA? And most people said, yes, we have been active in the ELCA. A very small percentage said no. Then we asked, at the last is, well, should we remain active in the ELCA? And you'll see there was a shift there. There was a little bit of change based on, obviously, the actions that were taken by the church. And then recognizing gay couples, 64% said no, and 86% said no in terms of calling a gay pastor. So those are the results. I don't plan on doing anything with those except to report them. I'm not going to advocate that we leave the ELCA unless you want to. I'm not going to try and use this to beat anybody up or to throw anybody out. I'm not trying to get rid of the 9, 36, and all of those percentage of people. We are a community of faith. We have to struggle just like everybody else. And what I would do is I would applaud this congregation for its restraint during times of uncertainty. And I go back to what I kind of went through my mind was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, they fixed something for us here, but within our community faith, there's nothing broken. What gets broken potentially is if, when we're hiring a new pastor, somebody says, here's the pastor for you. But I will tell you, as I've told you in the past, we are in control of our destiny in Glory Day. That's how these resolutions were written and approved by the church, is it still left the choice to the congregation. We would never be forced to accept what we didn't want. So we've spoken. This has gone into the ministry site profile. We have reported it. And so any prospective candidate will be informed by it. And I think that's really all we need to be doing right now. Go ahead, Russell.
But recognize gay couples, does that mean a person that wishes to be baptized or?
No, go ahead.
The National Assembly approved that individual congregations have the option of recognizing gay committed couple relationships. The difficulty was that there's no instrument to do so, nor is there any clear definition of what the word recognize means.
Right.
So the Council of Bishops has been deliberating for almost a year and a half, 2 years, on trying to figure out what the word recognize means and what would be a liturgically appropriate way of recognition. You will read that other denominations have been considering shifting the definition of marriage, for example, from a man and a woman to 2 persons. That's not the Lutheran action in front of us. It would be some kind of non-marital recognition of standing. But they don't know what that is. So
this is more in conducting a union or
yeah, you might call it a union or something.
Right.
If a couple came to me and said, oh, another thing, as a pastor, I'm serving the Glory Day. If a couple comes to me and wants to be recognized, a gay couple, right? I cannot do that in this place if the congregation does not take action to authorize that as a possibility. Just to be clear about the rules.
I would mean to recognize them as married or being.
No.
To recognize them as having some religious blessing of standing.
Right.
Can I read my closing? Okay.
Yeah, marriage, again, the human sexuality statement clearly states that, and that was ratified, that was voted on, that marriage is between a man and a woman. So that's very clear. This would be some kind of recognition of